5 months later, I went to my pediatrician because my body was doing some pretty weird things. And I was like, yeah, I don't know what's going on. And she said, well, you're pregnant. And I said, well, that can't be because it was only that one time and it was 5 months ago, so that can't be the problem. She said, well, you're 5 months pregnant. You know, we didn't know about the resources in the community, such as pregnancy centers that could have guided us in the right direction. So we tried to seek answers from other places. So now abortion in Maryland is legal through all 9 months up until birth. So it wasn't that it was illegal in Maryland, but you know, my doctor had such little faith in any of the abortionists in this state that she recommended that my family go see Dr. George Tiller in Kansas. Today, I want everyone to be well aware that today that wouldn't have happened because we have a new Tiller, Leroy Carhart, who's in Germantown. And 3 or 4 days, and on the 4th day, they pulled me out into the room again, and I thought the same thing was going to happen that they had been doing for the last couple days, but somehow my baby knew that this was very different. I now knew that these movements that I felt was her moving around. Previously, I had thought that it was just gas. I don't know. I didn't know that it was the baby moving, but I was well aware of this vibrant life inside of me. And as I lay on that table, I knew that something was different about this time because she was like kicking me, elbowing me, turning somersaults. And I don't know how she knew it because the doctor entered with a long needle that he stuck into my abdomen, and almost immediately I never felt her move again. That which I knew was perfectly formed with 10 fingers and 10 toes. I saw the sonogram. I knew there was nothing wrong with this life inside of me, but she stopped moving. So then there's no dignity to what I did to my child. So I left there feeling horrible. I hated myself, I hated my parents, I hated the world, and I knew that God hated me and couldn't forgive me. How could he forgive me? So I stopped going to church. I used lots of drugs to try and numb the pain. I made a lot of dumb decisions, and my parents realized that I was making a lot of dumb decisions, and so they put me in therapy, and I saw doctor after doctor, and they'd say, you're major depressive, you're bipolar, you're this, you're that. They'd put me on medication after medication, and nothing would work. I still didn't want to live. There was nothing worth living for. And finally I found a therapist that I really liked, and I was like, well, what do you think is my problem? And she said, well, I think you have post-traumatic stress disorder from the abortion. I said, oh, that can't be, because that was 10 years ago. I'm really over that. She said, okay, well, and she gave me a pamphlet for a Rachel's Vineyard retreat. And she said, I've paid for it. You're going. I'm not taking no for an answer. So after her gentle persuasion, I was like, all right. And I went, and I'm really glad that I did because my entire life changed. I saw other women who had been through the same thing, just different details, and I didn't condemn them. And I realized I needed to stop condemning myself. And I read scripture about the amazing power of God's forgiveness. And when I brought down that wall that I had put up between me and him, I was drenched in that forgiveness. Completely drenched. And I left that place no longer wanting to use drugs, no longer hating life, but wanting to live and tell my story and tell my baby's story so that other women wouldn't go through the same hurt that I went through.